Before going to bed this evening, I thought it might be useful just to go through David Davis' speech this afternoon because it was quite significant. He approached the Mandelson scandal with forensic detail, framing his speech around four categories of unanswered questions: Mandelson's suitability, the vetting process, the chain of decisions, and the reforms needed. And this structured approach gave his attack clarity and force. He painted a devastating portrait of Mandelson's career: serial sackings, financial impropriety, entanglements with dubious figures like Oleg Deripaska, and the email of solidarity with Jeffrey Epstein. He invoked an ethical test that he said Mandelson consistently failed. And crucially, Davis argued that in diplomacy, and especially Washington, moral integrity is not negotiable. That was his first point, the suitability of Mandelson. The second point was the vetting process. Davis exposed the astonishing laxity of the vetting process. He ridiculed the idea that intelligence agencies or the propriety and ethics unit could have missed the massive evidence already in the public domain. His point that Google can do this made Starmer's office look negligent or willfully blind. And then he came to the Prime Minister's judgment. And by linking Mandelson's character directly to Starmer's judgment, Davis sharpened the political stakes. He asked the killer question: what did Starmer know, and when did he know it? And he pressed the inconsistency of Starmer defending Mandelson at PMQs last week, when journalists and MPs already had the Epstein material. Davis highlighted perceived Labour hypocrisy, this double standards and accountability, backbenchers suspended for minor dissent. Yet Mandelson retained the whip in the Lords, and he also pressed the need for systemic reform, pre-confirmation hearings for top diplomatic appointments mirroring the US Senate model. This gave his speech a constructive edge. He avoided excessive personal rancor, presented himself as reluctantly critical in the national interest, and this gave his attack moral weight. He was witty in moments, notably about Trump's presence in Epstein's birthday book, but didn't let humour blunt his indictment. By layering Mandelson's scandals over decades, Davis turned the affair into a morality play, the Dark Lord, whose flaws were known yet indulged. Is this a killer blow? Possibly not yet, but it is a very serious wound. And why it's not fatal immediately? Well, first of all, Starmer retains the loyalty of most Labour MPs, and Mandelson's disgrace does not automatically translate into a leadership challenge or a loss of confidence. The public may not have followed every detail of Mandelson's career, and Davis's encyclopedic recall risks sounding like political theatre rather than governance. But why it's nevertheless dangerous, I think, is Davis has crystallised the issue into one word: judgment. And Starmer can no longer claim ignorance or procedural misfortune. He is painted as complicit, indulgent, or negligent. And the case undermines Starmer's central pitch as a figure of integrity, restoring trust after the chaos of Conservative rule. By linking Labour double standards, foreign policy credibility, and ethical blindness, Davis has drawn the scandal into the heart of Starmer's authority. He's delivered perhaps the most damaging parliamentary indictment of Starmer's premiership to date. It may not topple him immediately, but it weakens his authority at home, it embarrasses him abroad, and it fuels the sense that Labour is slipping into the same culture of impunity it once condemned in others, particularly people like Boris Johnson. Unless Starmer moves quickly to reset trust, perhaps by conceding reforms to ambassadorial appointments and being more candid about what he knew, this debate could mark the beginning of an erosion of credibility that is harder to stop than any single resignation.